Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Twenties Detox. I'm Bianca, your host, and today we're doing a video. If you don't know me, I just share a lot of the things that I'm currently unlearning, as well as learning in my 20s to elevate this time of our life. I've been reading the book Atomic Habits, actually listening to it, and a part of it that was so interesting involved the whole premise of unlearning and how important it is for when you want to start building habits to create an identity around that better, healthier habit. And sometimes that will take unlearning of past identities and past beliefs in order for you to fully step into a better lifestyle. And that's why I really talk about unlearning so much. And it's because if you want to become a better version of yourself and create better habits and just be healthier, you have to learn to unlearn and let go of old habits. Unlearn the belief systems you have around those old habits. And one of those that is so prevalent in the world right now, and especially in the younger generation, is people pleasing. I feel like advocating for yourself and learning to say no takes some time, but that doesn't mean that we need to be a people pleaser in our whole 20s. Like, I think that we can speed that process up a little bit. And I've been seeing a lot of things online about being in your villain era of when you start actually advocating for yourself. And I want to talk a little bit about that and the deeper reasons for why you also people please. So, I've always been someone that has a long fuse, big boom. If you get it, you get it. I'll explain a little bit. Sometimes I'm really good at just saying in the beginning, like, I don't really like that, but then they cross that boundary and I'm like, there's no way that they're that dumb, right? Like, they knew that they did that. I'll let them process about that and not actually ever talk to them about it again. And I just like keep letting things fester. And then eventually, when they've crossed way too many lines, I used to just like blow up and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Bye. And the thing is, when I say bye, I say bye. I don't ever see them again and talk to them again or get as close as we once were. Now, there's an issue in that on my part. I let them get away with it. I just let resentment build up and I never actually talk about it. And I realized there was roots of people pleasing in that, in the ways that I didn't feel like I deserved to express my truth and how that really affects me. But the unfortunate thing is, because I had a long fuse, okay, I can take a lot. I can take a lot of shit that somebody's going to give to me. But then eventually, once that barrier is crossed too many times, I'm out. But I could have expressed it right in the beginning and sternly and shown that I was serious and known right from the start whether or not they would respect that. And I could walk away, but I didn't. I remember a friend of mine, it was on my birthday. We went out. I decided I wanted to get some drinks. It was actually in the beginning of the pandemic, like literally right in the beginning. And I was turning 21. I turned 21. I told my friends, let's go out for a drink. I obviously don't need anything big. I don't even think things are open right now. Things are closing. Our school closed at that time. It was good. Everything was fun. We went out. We got a drink. And then half of our group was like, why don't we go over this way and go out somewhere else? And I was like, okay, cool. My roommate at the time didn't really want to do that. And she decided to just like walk away. She's like, I'm going to go back to the apartment and just walk. And keep in mind, the area that we were in isn't the safest to just walk alone as a girl, period, but just a walk alone at night. And it would have been a 10-minute walk. And I immediately didn't feel comfortable with that. So I was like, you know what, guys, I'm going to go with her because she obviously needs to go back to the apartment. She's tired or whatever. And we just dipped like right away. Personally, I would have loved to stay out a little bit more and celebrate my birthday, but I was like, fine. My roommate is currently walking away. Like, she just like walked away and I ran up to her. I wasn't upset or anything. Like, I know she's tired or something after work. I can't remember. It's a few years ago. And then the next day, my other friend came over and she's like, "What is with you guys with just like walking away sometimes randomly?" And my friend that walked away in the beginning, my roommate, she's like, "Well, I knew that if I started walking away, Bianca would follow me." When I heard that, I'm like, so you knew what you were doing. I think sometimes we like to assume or think the best of people. At least I do. And I think in that situation, I knew that she was tired. But when the unfortunate case was, she just assumed that I would follow her because she knew I would. I cared about her that much. And she kind of took advantage of that. And I let her. And I let her take advantage of that. And I really could have, I'm like, she just made that decision to go to the apartment on her own. I could have stayed out, but I felt that it was more important to make sure she got home safe than it was for me to have a good rest of my night. And she knew that and took advantage of it in that moment. Honestly, no hard feelings. I'm not upset with her at all. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, she could have been fine walking by herself. I've also had a couple situationships, and I let those guys walk all over me. I remember when I was going over to see this guy that I was talking to, it had to be in the morning. I was like, why don't we just study together? And I get over there and we're studying, and he's like, hey, you wouldn't mind if I just went to go have breakfast with my friends, right? And I'm like, of course I wouldn't mind if you went to go have breakfast with your friends right in the morning. Like, I'm in your dorm right now. But I'm like, no, go have fun with your friends. And there I am in his dorm after he's gone out to have breakfast with all of his friends. Didn't bother to invite me. Okay. And I'm just like cleaning up my stuff. I'm like, I guess we're not studying. And I just end up going to the library and like self-loathing for the rest of the day. I want to say that in those situations, I'm not the victim in that. I'm really not. Because the thing is, we way too often think that people know the way that we're feeling. They can read our minds. My friend who walked to her apartment, I could have been like, you know what, I really would have liked if you just like told me before so we could have got you a cab because I kind of wanted to stay out. But I was like, it's fine. So she's going to assume it's fine, even though there was underlying ickiness about it. The second one, I could have told that guy, you know what, I really actually don't feel comfortable with you doing that. Like, I came all the way over here. It seems like you don't really care that much about me. Like, what am I doing here? But I said, no, it's okay. And that is one thing to realize if you are somebody who's a people pleaser. This villain era, in my opinion, is not the best label to put on a situation where you are wanting to stand up for yourself. But you also have to realize that in the flip side, you're not a victim. You're not, because you can most definitely advocate for yourself. And we're just going to have to learn how to do that. We have to start being accountable for our actions and a lack of actions too, at that. So I think just be mindful of these labels that are thrown out all over the internet, because from the start, I never liked the name villain era. I don't like that because too many of us hop from one extreme to another when we get into this personal development realm. We go from completely avoiding our emotions to over psychoanalyzing our emotions. We go from, not advocating at all to being even slightly arrogant and not knowing when to bite our tongue. And we need to find a healthy balance for everything. And I think reasons why it gets so difficult and why we flip-flop so much is because we're not paying attention to the underlying belief systems that we've created to be a people pleaser in the first place. It's really hard to start creating better habits when you don't even know why those first poor habits were so strong in the first place. And a few things that I've learned for why I am a people pleaser is being a woman. I've been raised, or I've seen a lot of women in my family. How do I say this? The women in my family do a lot for their husbands, and it is expected of them to do a lot for their husbands. And I think a lot of women are conditioned at a young age to basically prioritizing serving others. And no matter how you're feeling, that is more important than taking care of yourself. Because of that, what I've learned is if you are taking care of yourself and not others, that is selfish. But that doesn't mean that guys are not people pleasers too. As a child, if you were ever praised when you helped somebody else, that so quickly as a child can be linked to your self-worth. That helping others has become a sense of your identity. I've seen that with, so many of my friends, my partner, myself, my mom, that they felt that in the best way to receive love would be to help others. So a lot of the time, an underlying thing of why we people please is, yeah, we're altruistic. We want to help others. And we've been taught at a young age, like that is a really good thing to do. And two, we want love and support. And we felt like the only way to get love and support in the past of when we were a kid was when we helped others. When we were taking care of ourselves, we wouldn't receive that love and praise. Just take a look at that. Of all the times that somebody gave you praise for doing something, now is that something so tied to your worth that it's now an obsession? For me, I would get praise for how hard I worked. And now look at me, I'm a workaholic. And I'd get praise for how nice I am to my sister, who I love and adore. And it's not for, it's because I just love her. But now, for so long, I just allowed myself to be walked all over on and would people please a lot. And that became a part of my self-worth. It could also be my looks, of all the times I was praised for how pretty I looked. Then I put all my energy into making sure that I would take care of the physical part of my body. And what is one thing we're very rarely praised on as children? And it's taking care of ourselves spiritually, mentally. And so because of that, that part is totally neglected in adulthood. So if you guys actually want to know how to take proper care of yourself, I would definitely look at the episode I put on for differentiating between self-care and self-maintenance, because the self-maintenance was a little bit of what I just touched on right there, of how I was praised as a kid for being pretty, let's say. And because of that, so soon I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I need to focus on above all else, is making sure I look pretty, amongst other things like school and the people pleasing. But basically, this is another example of how it can develop into poor habits and how I need to take really good care of other people, and those needs come before my own, can be a sense of identity and a sense of where all my self-worth comes from. Now, the reason why this is such an issue is because we've mistaken what self-worth is to self-esteem. Self-worth, we are all inherently worthy when we are born on this planet, okay? Now, self-esteem is where your ego comes into play. Self-esteem is your ego boosting yourself up when it feels like you've done something good, feels like you've done something a part of the role that you play and the identities that you have, but focusing on self-esteem versus focusing on the fact that you are just inherently worthy and you don't owe a shit to anybody. Focusing on self-esteem means everything that you're doing is from the ego. Because think about it, when you do true self-care, nothing that is for the face or the body, when you're just meditating, or when you are going on a hike outside and sitting and connecting with nature, does any of that boost your self-esteem? No. It's grounding you. It's reminding you of who you are. And that is far more powerful than anything that you feed to your ego so that they can boost your self-esteem temporarily. That's another thing. That's another reason why we people please. Say, okay, a friend is calling you, why don't we get some drinks tonight? You are exhausted. You don't want to do that. But you feel so used to just putting people's needs before your own. You're like, okay, let's do it then. Whatever. And then you're like, oh, I feel good for a split second because you made that person happy saying yes. And then afterwards, that dies off. You're like, oh, I actually don't want to go though. And now I'm dreading this commitment that I just made. And that's because you're not being in alignment with yourself. Another thing from this article, if you're wondering if you resonate with a people pleaser, it says, you are anxious about creating unease or standing up for yourself. You are stressed due to the commitments that you have taken on, like I just said. You're frustrated that you never really have time for yourself, or that your own needs do not compare to others. I want to remind you one thing again. You are not a victim to your environment, and you're not a victim to your circumstances. You can start being accountable for these situations. You can learn how to stand up for yourself and to actually put some time into taking care of your energy. Your energy is your currency. And if you have none left, how the hell are you going to be able to take care of others? Okay, like altruism is not a bad thing. Obviously, being selfless and doing things for others is amazing, but be mindful of the energy that you have. A little sum up what I've said so far is the fact that a lot of us are people pleasers because the idea of helping others, altruism, has become so strongly a part of our identity that it's so much more important than taking care of ourselves. And that reason is tied into the fact that at such a young age, when we would help others, we'd get love and praise. And that is something each of us want, is love and praise. So subconsciously, way down there, whenever you try and help people, you're like, this is how I know I'm capable of love. And I'm deserving of it. If I don't help others, then I'm not deserving. We have to learn to remember that self-worth, helping others, not helping others, doesn't affect it. And I think gradually to start building a more empowering belief system of the fact that you are allowed to take care of your own energy. Things that you can do now in adulthood to try and start learning to say no and to start putting your energy before other people and find that balance to take care of yourselves and also hang out with a lot of people. So one thing that I would say is practice saying no with people you know will never leave, for one. Like if you have a sister or you have a partner, practice advocating saying no sometimes. Say it in a nice way, of course, and most likely you're always going to see that your friends and your family or your partners are like, yeah, like totally, I understand, like let's just reschedule. And every time that is going to get easier. The second thing is blocking out time. That's something I did. Even when I was struggling with my workaholic tendencies, what I would do is I would block time out in my schedule to do things for me, not for work, because for so long, I was working all day long, like 12-hour days and then just going to bed. So I started blocking out time in my calendar to do things that had nothing to do with work. And that's something that you can do as well. You can figure out time of when you can spend time with people so that it's not so quick to say yes. You're like, oh, you know what? I actually blocked in time to do this today. And the last thing is don't say things too quickly. Too many of us just say, yes, okay, sure. And then we don't have to even think if it's realistic. Take some time before you commit to anything. Even if you really want to do it, always take some time. Okay, and just be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to look into it and let you know as soon as possible. and acknowledge them that they sent that text or they offered that, and be like, wow, that sounds like so much fun. Let me just look into my schedule and look into what I'm doing this month, and I'll get back to you because I don't know what I'm doing. That helps you learn how to think more realistically and less emotionally because you are too afraid with letting them down. So those two things, the work that you're going to do to remind yourself of why you're people pleasing, maybe it's for other reasons from childhood, why you're such a people pleaser, and then taking small steps towards learning how to advocate for yourself will create a new identity of a healthy balance. So I want to just tell you, like, no, it isn't going to be instantaneous, this switch, this villain era, but with time and baby steps, you're definitely going to be able to get out of those people-pleasing situations. And I'm not at all 100% there yet myself, but I just wanted to share. You can find the balance. Absolutely. This is my 17th episode, so I have 2 more real episodes, and then the last one is just going to be a kind of Q&A thing to sum up the season. So I hope that in the summer or in the time that I do take a break, you guys are going to be working on this with your friends and your loved ones, and you're going to learn to realize taking care of yourself is so important and it's so valuable, and you should never apologize for it. I hope that you have an amazing day. I love you all. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.